Hello guys, once again, this is Herminio and today I'll be sharing with you some insights on prototyping. This is a series of lecture on human-centered design. We started with the human-centered design on the topics of talking to humans. Then we go into the introduction of innovation leadership. Then we go into the third topic, the introduction to the human-centered design. So today, I'll be sharing with you topics on prototyping service design experiences. And hopefully you can come up with a product that could enhance your services. You can enhance your service models and could delight your clients. So aside from coming up with a particular product, you may come up with some models that you can initiate to enhance your companies, your organization, and bring it to the next level, not just for for your profitability, for your income, but of course for the delight and for the value that you shared with your customers, partners, and other stakeholders of your company. So shall we start? Now, in Mindanao, if you happen to visit the Fab Lab, the MSU IIT or the Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology, the Fabrication Laboratory, this is their entrance, and it is a building. And offices and laboratories dedicated to fabricating um, your prototypes, your new designs, and they will try to bring your product into a new life. So if you are envisioning to bring your product into a new scale, into a new form, into a new version, this fabrication laboratory, which is located in Iligan City, particularly the Mindanao State University Iligan Institute of Technology. If you happen to visit, you can pay a visit, guys, and see uh, by your own eyes and experience how these young people, young engineers of MSU IIT will help you bring your product into life. And I am proud for this facility that they have partnership with DTI, DOST, MIT, and another organizations, and they will bring you something really an extraordinary output that you want your product to be, or your model to be, your prototype to be. So you go inside, you will see here some of the printing materials. They even have 3D printing, and the staff are young and lively. So you really enjoy visiting this place. Um, since our topic is on prototyping, that's why I'm so glad to share with this story, with this experience that I have had when I visited the Fab Lab. So the people there are so nice. They really shared their experiences. They show the place. They will tour you around, and I'm glad that I was able to visit in this place and learn something from these people, young and energetic. So there is a wider area where you can even make a bigger version of your designs. So if you cannot just do it on the small scale using the 3D prints, you can come up with something bigger if you wanted. So there is also an area adjacent to that office dedicated to creating something big and something great. So again, I hope I give you already an idea. There is a place for you if you want to make your design into more of something uh, realistic and then workable. There is a place that will really help you to do so. Aside from doing it using paper and pencil, cut and paste, cut and paste things. So shall we continue, guys? Now, accordingly, there is what they call the truth curve. So what is the truth curve? Sometimes you will have to bring your product from fantasy to a reality. So what is really the truth behind what comes to your head? So make sure that the believability of information will level up together with your efforts. Because even if you have the best information, even if you have the best data that you've gathered from your talking to humans, even if you have the best data that you've gathered from your research and your interviews and you've summarized it and you've analyzed your data properly, even though you have the best of the data, but you do not have so much effort in making it into being a workable design, then it remains a fantasy. So the truth curve is a combination between, the level up of your design, the 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 reality of your design will go up higher and higher the more it gets truthful if the believable information will be coupled with your efforts. Okay? So you depart from fantasy the moment you focus on a very good information, believable information supported with data, plus your efforts in and the resources that you put into that will bring your ideas into a reality. So you are departing far from fantasy when you combine the two. So again, you always go back to the criteria of creating a real impact. So you start with what is desirable, and yeah, really, we start with, yeah, do I need the product? Do I need this kind of service model? Do I need this kind of service experience, this new product that would enhance our service experiences? Do we need? So human-centered design is uniquely situated to arrive at solutions that are, again, desirable to humans. Is it viable? Can we do business with it? And then is it feasible? Are there technology that can do to make it into a reality? If one of the criteria is missing, there is no desirability, there is no feasibility, and there is no viability, I think there will be a problem in implementing and bringing your product or your design into a reality. Now, there is an example here, a case of Kaiser Permanente. The Kaiser Permanente journey on a homeboard prototype. So what is a homeboard prototype? So with Kaiser, IDEO look at the pre and postnatal experience, the entire journey from finding out what that you are pregnant to leaving the hospital with your newborn is sometimes problematic for young mothers who just delivered their baby. So with Kaiser, IDEO found out that these are the basic issues, and IDEO found a big area of opportunity was during the time after the delivery and before the mother and baby go home. So there's so much that needs to get done in the 24 to 48-hour period after the delivery. So usually that's the time where when the hospital decides to whether to let the baby go or not. And then the IDEO ended up creating what they call the Journey Home Board. So now this is their design to enhance the services they offered. So by the way, Kaiser Permanente is a hospital in the US. So IDEO ended up creating what they call the Journey Home Board, and essentially a menu where nurses flick over cards for the steps that need to happen before moms and newborns can go home. So it opened up communication for moms to know what still needed to be done and to ask questions about what it all meant. And when IDEO initially prototyped the board, there was a concern that it would cause confusion for moms and result in more calls and questions. So they hung paper versions of Journey Home Board in 3 patient rooms and asked a nurse on duty to mark the number of phone calls they received from those rooms versus the rooms without a paper prototype. And they discovered that moms in the rooms with paper prototypes had 60% fewer questions, and that was a pretty good indication that this service offer was going to make a lot of sense for Kaiser. So you see, a journey home board really helps to offer value to their clients, particularly the mothers, the people with the patient, um, the watchers, and it tells them something very valuable, that their stay. So this is an example of the journey home board. It tells them that, hey, we are about to leave. After all the cards are checked, it indicates that, hey, you're about to leave. Sometimes when we are in the hospital, we will be asking, when can I go home? That could be our issue. But for Kaiser Permanente, they were able to design a journey home board, and you can come up with a very good design, bring it to a partner like the one that I've shown you, the MSU, IIT Fab Lab. Let them design a kind of, for the in the case of Kaiser Permanente, you can ask a Fab Lab to come up with a more perfect design out from just simply cut and paste prototypes. So yeah, and then you can sell it to other hospitals. You can come up with not just a patent for this invention, but also uh, copyrights for the materials that it is that Kaiser or the hospital is using. So again, this is one example of a very a good product that could enhance the service experience among patients in the hospital. So number one that we will remember when we make prototypes, determine the moments that matter. Remember this, determine the moments that matter. How to identify the moments that matter? Number one, spend a lot of time investing in understanding what's important to people that are going to be consuming that service or participating in that service. So you have to remember that. What Spend a lot of time investing in understanding what's important to the people. So again, talking to humans is very, very important. Next is spend time in people's lives, understanding what excites them and what irritates them. Take cues from ways people are consuming your service offer or similar service offers out there. And number three, what personas or segments are you prioritizing as an organization? So what's possible with your capabilities? So answer this question. So what's possible with your capabilities? Again, we go back to the three criteria. Is it viable? Is it feasible? Is it desirable? So number four, create a dialogue between what feels right and aspirational and what feels possible. So this doesn't mean that the aspirational but not possible options have to be taken off the table. They must just need to be developed over time. So remember this, sometimes we will not stop doing things. So we keep on reiterating and so on until we come into some forms of an acceptable design. Then number two, be on the lookout for early indicators. So it is easy with early prototypes to race toward metrics and evidence, but early indicators that something is going to be better are critical with this rough prototype. So how do you get anecdotes or peak of evidence that you might be able to scale this? So the simple paper prototype of Kaiser Journey Homeboard triggered a sense of confidence that this was the right solution for Kaiser. So you have to understand this again. You mean instead of dreaming a very huge and a very perfect product, start with small and simple. Okay, start with small and simple. That's my advice. Start with simply a paper prototype by just simply cutting and pasting papers. Number three, tap the creative potential of those who are delivering the service. So rely on the instinct and insights of the people living these moments every day. Engage the ultimate stakeholders as designers and ask good questions about how things will play out. Okay? And then number 4, use time-based moments. So think about the arc of the experience over time. In this interstitial moment that matter mentioned above, how do you help people remember you? So again, think about the arc of experience over time. So again, in this interstitial moment that matter mentioned above, how do you help people remember you? So how about the next question is, how do you help people anticipate the next engagement moments? So again, use time-based moments. So make sure that you try to look into uh, the experience of the individual over time and take note which at that particular moment you really help the individual the most. Where at that moment where you give the value at the most. In the case of Kaiser, they found out an IDU. They found out that between the mother starts to deliver the baby and then the time when they will have to get out. So in the case of the hospital, sometimes we try to think beforehand before coming in as patients when we go out. So before coming in, we already think of going out from the hospital. And sometimes we do not know when we get out, and that adds on our anxiety and stress, no, not particularly to the people who are with us, the watchers and our loved ones. So I think the Journey Homeboard is a very, very helpful product that could enhance the service experience. So again, that is an example. At least you have an idea now what to do in your companies, or if you are a new designer, an inventor, you have now the ideas what to do uh, for you to design the best product that that could make your business into a more valuable one. And if you are an inventor, it will help you how how you can make your invention into a more feasible one, viable one, and feasible one. Okay, and desirable. So number 5, ask people to imagine a more idealized version. Again, ask people to imagine a more idealized version. So what's the idealized experience that addresses some of the known challenges? So low fidelity prototypes can be extremely helpful because often the users want to give you feedback to help design something that meets their needs. So consider that. So again, you starting simple with paper and pencil prototypes is a little helpful because that solicit feedbacks. And then the next one is use constraints to force yourself to stretch. So push beyond the normal mediums you use. For example, what if you could only design through space, people, science, or etc. Organizations and industries tend to have a bias towards certain channels. Healthcare has a bias towards using people to deliver a service, which is one reason we created the Journey Homeboard purely through signage. So this is the reason for, in the case of the the hospital, okay, the Kaiser Permanente. So ask people to think about all kinds of interaction they can play with, then developing design solutions for just one. What if you could only deliver the experience through people? What if you could deliver only with the signage and communication, or only through the cues, the space given about how you would move through an experience? So try to look into. So what if you could only deliver with the signage and communications, or only through cues, the space gives about how you move through an experience? So again, think of these things and think of these questions. And finally, maybe instead of designing a Journey Homeboard, you may have problems and issues in your company. And in the case of Kaiser Permanente, it might not be the issues among inside the hospital or among patients, but among Watsers among visitors of the hospital. It might be the parking area. So you may come up with a stock parking and like this. And of course, there's still business here, and you enhance your services through through parking. Sometimes the issue when we come to the hospital, sometimes the stress is not inside, sometimes it's an outside. So again, I hope I could bring you some more examples outside than the healthcare industry, and I hope to see you again. I hope you like and subscribe, give your good comments, and if you click and follow us, click notification bell and click all for you to get updated always on our next video. Again, this is Herminio, and bye-bye. Thank you for subscribing. See you around.